Hello, this is RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mobile Weekly / Mobile Q&A. We go over all the latest news that happened during the week of mobile and answer your questions live. If you have a question you want to ask, just ask it in the comment section down below and I will answer it before the end of the show. Now, we do have some stuff on Samsung's latest phones coming up, so let's go ahead and get started with those. So, first of all, we are hearing that we are going to get 3 to 4 foldable devices next year now, more and more confirmed. So what we're getting is, we know we're getting the Galaxy Fold 3, and we know we're getting the Z Flip 2. Those are definites. But the rumors are also that we're going to have a Z Fold Lite, which I do believe is going to happen, and possibly even a Z Trifold. I guess. I'm not sure what they're going to call it. It might be, the Fold Pro or the Fold Plus or something along those lines. So let's go into them and kind of go over which each one's going to be. So first and foremost, these are rumors at this point. We still don't know, obviously, when they're coming or what if this is going to happen, but this is what we're hearing right now. So in a March launch, which is kind of interesting because basically if the Galaxy S21 does come out first, then this would be the following launch. So you're going to have one in January, supposedly. We'll still see if it happens. January instead of February. Then you're going to have it come out in February, or come out late January, in the beginning of February. Samsung has that for a month. And then in March, they roll out another announcement and another launch coming with the Fold Lite. Now this one will be basically similar to the Fold 2 and the Fold 1 in terms of the screen in the front. It's expected to be a 4 to 5 inch display on the outside, keeping in mind that the inside of the the outside of the Fold 2 is a 6.2 inch display, I want to say. 6.23 I think is, or something along those lines. So that is the current display size. So this would be much smaller, obviously. I think the first one was 4.7, so it's closer to that kind of display in terms of size. And why would they do that? I don't know. I guess to cut costs, that could be for the Lite. And it would be about the same 7.6 inch display that we had previously on this device. With the Fold 3, however, it's expected to be that same configuration in terms of the screens in and out. So 7.6 is still quite possible as far as to 8 inch. So basically, it could go all the way up to 8 inch display, or it could stay at 7.6 on the inside. But they're expected to shrink the outer screen on there. Now, the only reason I could think to shrink this display, and I think it would be a terrible mistake, quite frankly, is because of the S Pen. But why would you put the S Pen on this side instead of the other side? Of course, because the two sides that you can put it on is this side or this side. This side would make sense if you are trying to have that silo come in and then you have to have the screen shrink on that side. But it just doesn't seem like a wise decision. Let me know what you guys think on that front, because I just don't see that as a smart decision at all. Like I just can't see them going that far backwards. Yes, it will have an S Pen. Yes, it'll have a 120 hertz display, but I just don't see it as good enough reason to shrink the front of the display. Okay, now the Z Flip 2, that one's going to have a 6.7 inch internal, which I believe is about the same size we got last time, or around the same. But this one will have a 3-inch display on the external, kind of really competing more with the Moto in that sense. But the Z Flip 2 would now move to the September launch along with the Fold 3. I think that's kind of interesting. I don't know why you would wait that long, since people want to refresh from the Flip. If they had it before, they want to get it sooner. But it's interesting. What do you guys think? Let me know. Do you guys find any of these to be correct? Like, I don't see many of these turning out this way. I think these are too early rumors that just probably won't come to pass. But we'll have to wait and see. I do see the Fold Lite coming. I do see that being a mid launch. But I see that more than likely coming with the Z Flip 2. I think that would be a smarter play. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think it will be March we get the Fold Lite to have a more cost-effective fold? And what will a more cost-effective fold be? Will it be 1,300, 1,400? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Z Flip 2 was 1,350. So is it going to be around that same price point, or is the Lite going to even be cheaper? It's very curious to see, and I'm really curious what will the Lite entail in terms of how low cost will they go. And the Fold 3 is supposed to be around the same price as before, so it's still going to be around that $2,000 price point. And then you have the Z Flip 2, which should be around the same price as before. But then we also have rumors of a bifolding screen. Now, I still think this is too soon. I think that you're more than likely to maybe see a concept of this, and it could release as soon as Q1 2022. But what this is basically the screens will bend into each other. So it's kind of interesting because you'll have, the front display and you're going to have the camera. So when you fold them both in on each other, that's what you have. You have kind of like a camera setup, and this one doesn't show it, but you'll have a front screen right here. And then when you open it up, you'll have a bigger phone altogether. Very narrow phone though when you have it closed. And you can see you can answer it here and then open it up to a trifold. Basically similar to what we have now, it's just even bigger. This will most likely be a 10-inch display. And these are, I think, more concepts of what could happen. Basically, basically having it so that you can actually mount it horizontally. And because thing is, yes, you can take a video this way, but it's not really as practical, I would say, in terms of shooting a video like that. But the other way, you can actually have a much bigger screen while still shooting it. Also, this middle, the second row, I really like for the ability to actually not only take selfies, but for video calls. It effectively eliminates the front screen by having your rear cameras be your front cameras. And I'm always all for that. I love that idea. I love that kind of thing. So really, really, anything that brings the rear cameras to be the front cameras, I think is always a really good thing. If you checked out MKBHD's blind camera test, the one that won did exactly that. The Zenfone Max 2, I think, or Max Pro 2. But that one has the rear camera flip up and become a selfie camera. I think that should happen for all smartphones if we can figure out a way to do that. All right, now we already know the S21 is going to have the first ever 10 times optical zoom on a phone, but we're also hearing that it's going to have a much bigger sensor than before. So basically what this will have is you're going to have a standard telephoto and then another telephoto, so dual telephotos essentially. And what this will allow for is a much bigger sensor, and this will actually allow for a really good zoom, optical zoom. And here's the thing, the main time I always tell people when you would want optical zoom is when you travel. So I don't know if this was the best time to focus on optical zoom. I would have said a wider angle while we're in smaller spaces, as being home and things like that, are better off. So those are my things, is that I think we really, really want to focus more on the wide angle cameras, and especially video quality on that wide angle camera is one of my big pet peeves that I wish would improve. So we'll have to wait and see, but overall this optical zoom should effectively easily be the best we see on any phone to date. So that is one thing that if you are looking at the S21 as a phone, for the S21 Ultra specifically, it will have the best optical zoom that we've seen, with a bigger sensor and 10 times zoom, being effectively double of what we've ever had before. Then we also get our first images of the Galaxy Buds Pro. Now, these are not the Galaxy Buds Live. They are the replacement for the Galaxy Buds Plus. God, there's too many names. So what these are essentially the Galaxy Buds Plus fused with the Galaxy Buds Live. The thing that the Galaxy Buds Live had was this nicer, sleeker case, which the new ones are going to have the same case. And they had active noise canceling with these mics that will actually drown out the noise. coming from the outside, and these are the Pro styles having that same kind. Some people were talking about an earlier release. I really do just see this coming out with the S21 still, especially if they are going to be released in January. It just makes more sense. It's also going to have a bigger milliamp battery in the actual devices as well, so 500 milliamps. So pretty interesting. I thought the Galaxy Buds Live were really good. See, I was rocking two main headphones up until 2 weeks ago. Up until 2 weeks ago, my go-to headphones was I had the Pixel Buds in my home, and I had the Galaxy Buds Live on the go. I never use either one anymore. I still have to do the video on this, but the Jabra 85Ts are now the best true wireless headphones I think you can buy right now. Insanely good. I literally don't use these two anymore at all. That's how good they are. And again, I thought these were awesome. I thought the overall sound quality for bass and everything like that was much better here. I thought these were really good for listening to videos that you didn't really, it wasn't music, but you just needed to listen to the voice. But now listening to content on either one of these two, and I switched to this, and it's just so much better. So yeah, don't worry, all that will be coming soon, because I know that is one that a lot of people always worry about, true wireless headphones. And again, I'm not sponsored by Jabra. I appreciate the products when they are good quality, and every single time I've seen them excel time and time again. So yeah. All right. Samsung's One UI 3 release date. So basically, the One UI 3.0 just upgraded on the S20s, and it should come out on the Note 20s and the Folds early Q1. So the main thing we kind of seen from this is new interface, new look, especially with the volume. New widgets, which I can appreciate. The widgets look really nice, I would say. More refreshed. They haven't been refreshed for a little while now. And I like this new frosted thing, even widgets on the lock screen, but I like this new frosted notification panel a lot. I've actually really always kind of appreciated that. I can do a similar thing with the app drawer that I really like for Nova Launcher. So I appreciate this frosted look. I think it really makes it look nice, and I think it really stands out. Keep track of your habits. It's been around for a little while now, but yeah, so I don't know. I keep liking the look that Samsung is kind of going more and more into. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Again, they're still lowering stuff. One thing I don't like is that if you remember these three little dots over here, and I know they're up here too, but you can't customize as much as you used to. Like you used to be able to customize, like I wanted 5 per row instead, and you couldn't do that with the most recent 2.5 update. So I wonder if we will get that back. I'll have to wait and see. Okay, so this one was pretty interesting because I think a lot of people have been wondering when was this going to happen again. And it didn't do well on Samsung, who was the first one to do it. And now it's going to be an accessory you can get on your Apple Watch. So what this is a wristband that can bring cameras to an Apple Watch. And it has 2 cameras, so you have a front camera and a selfie camera for video chat. And again, I think a lot of us have been expecting it to eventually happen. I don't know if this will be anything more than a proof of concept, to be quite honest, because I see if Apple does this, then it's going to be really the thing that makes it stupendous. And they could even buy this company out if they want to. But the idea behind this is for one, the selfie camera isn't that good of a quality. The selfie camera is only a 2 megapixel, so you're basically effectively getting a little bit better than your average webcam on your laptop. So 2 megapixel, I'm just kind of like, I really wish it could have been better. The rear camera is 8 megapixels, and it can shoot up to 4K. I do like this little quick shutter right here. So effectively, when you have your watch on, you could just go like this, boom, and it'll hit the shutter button to take the photo. So I do like that in terms of how that interaction. It feels very natural. But of course, the reason why a lot of people didn't like this on a Samsung watch was because of the privacy issue. Samsung even specifically made it so you couldn't disable the shutter sound, so that if you would take a photo, you know, people around you could know you just took a photo because of privacy concerns. This is also not cheap. It's $300, so you're effectively doubling the price of the entry-level Apple Watch, and that's a lot of money, of course. I mean, this is a smaller, newer company, but if you wanted to be able to video call, I would say more than anything else on your Apple Watch, this is going to get you there, although be it a lower quality than I would say Apple users are probably okay with. But let me know what you guys think. You guys think it's a good idea, or do you guys just see it as kind of like, whatever? Okay. Sorry, I had a lot of websites fall asleep on me. Okay, so this is a really interesting bit of news. And yes, I know we have a lot of news, and I will get to all of your questions. Don't worry. And that is the company that invented Samsung Pay was called Loop Pay. And Samsung and them have basically partnered. Samsung is not tied to this by name, but they own the technology that Loop Pay basically created. And that was being able to use MST terminals through contact pay. And they own the technology, I still believe, for about 4 more years before it's out in the open. So yes, Apple Pay will eventually work with MST once the technology patent's over, which again, I want to say is still about 4 to 5 years away from it being open. With this, though, they essentially can have a little card that you can hand to a waiter, that you can, obviously, after everything's normal again, you can hand to a waiter, that you can hand to anyone, and they can just tap it on any terminal, and it works. It's effectively gives you NFC kind of tap contactless pay on any machine. So this is kind of interesting. My thing is with something like this, though, I don't know how many people you would freak out. Like, you have to understand that people are still always, wary about hacking and all this kind of stuff. And this is so convenient, yes, but at the same time, I think its detriment is that it doesn't look like a credit card at all. Because, people won't like the idea of it not looking like a credit card because they might think you're trying to hack their system. They think, you're trying to having it, something along those lines. It does all the same security. Everything is encrypted on the actual device. It does token technology. So basically, every time you pay, you have a new one. And it's only $69 if you pre-order right now. It will normally be $100. So again, I like the concept, but I think you will freak people out. I think, yeah, like especially mom and pop shops, they might like, oh, what are you doing to my system? Like, are you hacking it? Like, I could totally see that happening. So that is the one thing that I think would kind of take this back. The other thing I do see that happening that people might not like is the problem with any kind of these payment systems that are very secure is always with returns, of course, because it used a one-time credit card number. It won't have that credit card number again when you try to return something. And that's always been a problem with all of these Samsung Pay, Apple Pay, all these kind of stuff. So because Samsung's name is not on this, I think it's something else that people will be wary about when it comes to returns. And you're trying to explain like, no, I have the credit card. It was on this little thing, but that credit card is no longer available, but I still should get a return onto my credit card. If you return it onto that credit card, it will return onto your bank card. But again, some people like to see the credit card they're returning it on. So again, just some things that you should know about because I've been through all of this kind of stuff. Okay, and then this one I thought was a very interesting thing. Now, this is just early patents, which obviously don't always mean anything, often cannot be pursued. But this one's a really cool one. OPPO is working on modular removable camera modules. which I think is such a good idea. And the reason why I think this is such a good idea is because you can keep someone buying your same product, I would say easily, for 3 to 4 years if you can just update the camera every year. Think about it. If you normally buy an $800 to $1,000 phone, right? Only for those customers, only for people that are willing to buy that much of a phone. And you can just get a brand new camera for $200. That might be worth it, right? If everything else is fine, but then you get this brand new camera that's even better and all this kind of stuff, I think that takes the module stuff that has not been successful in the past. I think that could actually take it to a brand new level, because camera and battery are the two things that I think that, again, make people want to upgrade. Yes, speed plays a factor, but really the phones are so fast now that I don't see it as that big of a deal anymore. So let me know what you guys think. I think this is a really cool concept. As a reminder too, OPPO does own OnePlus. So that is always a possibility too, that, you know, if it comes here, then you can possibly get it something like that later. It's just a very unique thing. Modulation has failed plenty of times before, but this is a really interesting one just because of the fact that it's just the camera. And I think that only that is enough to be kind of interesting. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I mean, you can get a huge sensor camera, you can get a wide angle only you know, whatever you want to shoot with. It's really kind of interesting. I'm very interested in it. All right, guys, that was the news. Now let's get to your questions. If you have a question you want to ask, just ask it in the comment section down below, and I will answer it before the end of the show. All right. Let's get to some of your questions. Hi, Ricky. Is it true Microsoft makes money from every Android phone that is sold due to patents that Microsoft owns? If true, that is crazy. Yes, that is true. It has been true for a very long time. Again, as we did talk about, though, technology patents typically only are granted for a 10-year period now. Obviously, I am not familiar with technology patents for the past probably 3 to 4 years. So if that's changed, mind you, I'm not sure about that. But that is the typical technology patent, specifically dealing with technology. And the idea behind that is that, you know, we want technology to continue to evolve, continue to move on. So that is why that basically that patent will eventually run out. So with that being said, on newer patents, I'm not sure how old the Microsoft patent is and how long it will last for. That has been, I want to say, since the early 2000s that patents have changed to that. But if you have a grandfathered patent, it can last longer, because patents used to last a lot longer, you know, 20, 50 plus years. So I'm not sure about how long that patent that gives Microsoft that ability. But yes, that is true. It's been around since Android's creation. So yeah. Why doesn't Samsung make two S series, 6.7, 6.9 phones, and one Note series phone? Basically, the argument that Samsung is posing, for those of you who haven't heard, and I've done plenty of videos on the Note and why I think it should continue, is basically they are proposing to do an S21, S21 Plus, and an S21 Ultra with S Pen. So effectively the same thing, but Samsung thinks that the S series has a more valuable brand name than the Note. I don't believe that. If you don't believe that as well, please, if you haven't done so already, check out our Note video that I did, I want to say 3 or 4 days ago, and share that on social media, hashtag save the Note, and see if we can get Samsung attention. Right now, it has very little views, so I don't know if it'll actually, get bigger or anything like that. But that would definitely, I think, help give that impression that people do want the Note more than the S series Ultra. Is Android or Google Chat Message going to be default in the future? So here is the stupidity in that. Google has said for many times over when this question has been brought up that they don't want to create a default instant messenger app as text messaging, effectively iMessage, for Android because they think carriers will not like it. F carriers? That's always been my standpoint. They are afraid that carriers will not like it, so that's why they've never done it. It's stupid. It's completely like, do you think Apple cares about what carriers think? But yeah, it's a stupid thing, but definitely something that that has been around for a long time and a big debate, and definitely an issue, I would say. So yeah, that's the answer that Google's given in the past. Now, since then, RCS is a technology that's been adopted by every carrier, so Google found that that would be okay, basically. And the reason why RCS is so important, in my opinion, is because it can actually go through Wi-Fi instead of just having LTE. If you ever have been around certain locations that you are on Wi-Fi, but you have horrible LTE, and you just get a regular text message on Android, you won't get it. You will not be able to download it because you need LTE in order to download a text message, MMS, multimedia message. So with that, that's why. And that's the annoying thing that, again, RCS would alleviate, but it's being slower to adopt. Samsung Messenger does work with it and doesn't, depending on which one and which carrier you're with and all that kind of stuff, but it needs to be the default, definitely. Ricky, why don't Canon or Nikon make camera sensors for phones? Why is it always Sony? Very good question. So for one, Canon and Nikon got into the game much later than Sony in terms of the smaller sensors. If you remember who created the whole mirrorless camera, the compact cameras, it was Sony, followed by Panasonic. Canon and Nikon only really barely got into it about 2 years ago or so, 3 years ago maybe. It's been a little, but like they were like 5 years late to the game. So that's one of the reasons why. It's kind of like how Intel tried to get into smartphone sensors, smartphone processors, but Qualcomm and ARM and Apple are so far ahead of them, and Intel is so far behind that they literally will never catch up in terms of mobile, because of the fact that and that's why Intel gave up and they sold their mobile division to Apple, because they just realized like, hey, we can't do it. We can't make 7 nanometer, 5 nanometer processors that you guys are putting out. We're on 14 and we're barely getting to 10. So yeah, it's just Intel could not crack that area because they were just so far behind. What's more of an interesting thing, to be quite honest, is that why doesn't Panasonic also get into it? I would say Sony sensors are typically more. What I'm filming on right now, though, is a Panasonic. And this is more of a better lens, I would say, than the camera itself. But I think Panasonic would do very well as well if they would start making sensors. They haven't gotten into it, but I think they would do very well. But yes, the main sensors, camera sensors on all smartphones, is actually funny. It is Sony, Samsung, which we all kind of expect. Another one is actually Toshiba, which is kind of an interesting one. And then Huawei, I believe, has another manufacturer. I forget which one it is. I don't think it's in-house. I think it's a different one. But yeah. So yeah, those are the reasons why Canon and Nikon, I think they're a little far back. What I will say, though, if you didn't know, up until or actually even with the S20 and the S21 Plus do use Canon technology. They have dual pixel autofocus. on their phones, and that's why the S20 and S20 Plus have much faster focus than any other smartphone because they have dual pixel autofocus. So that is Canon technology, something that Samsung has been using from Canon since I want to say, I think it was the S8, I think is when they first brought it on. But yes, Samsung has had the quickest focus for a long time because of Canon's technology. So they do weave in here and there. Let's see. Hyperion 100-watt charger charged the Tab S7 and my Note 10 Plus much slower than the Samsung OEM 45-watt charger. That is interesting because I have not noticed a slowdown. I mean, it charges my phone and my, I have it. I don't use the cable that came with it. I don't know if that's any difference. It shouldn't be. But I do use the cable that I also said that I got with it. But yeah, I bought a second one too, just because I really do love it, and I haven't had any issues with it. I'll be showing off another 60-watt charger tomorrow in tomorrow's video. It was geared towards Apple products, but it works perfectly well on Androids. It's a 60-watt charger, and it charges everything just fast. But yeah, I haven't had any issues with mine. It doesn't, and it says super fast charge, which if yours only says fast charge, then it is only taking up to 25 watts. But yeah, I mean, look, I have the 45-watt charger here too. Don't get me wrong. I use the Samsung charger at my desk. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure why it's that different. I ended up picking the Sony M4s for Cyber Monday. Love them. I seriously had thought about it, but I just couldn't justify it to myself. I'm like, I'm not traveling right now. I don't need them. And yeah, I wanted them though. Will the Note 10 and Note 10 Plus get the UI 3.0? Yes, they will. They're expected to be in Q1 or Q2 of 2021. So basically any point between January and May. Warner Brothers releasing movies, 2021 movies, HBO Max. Yeah. Okay, so again, this isn't necessarily a movie thing, but it does deal with HBO Max, which is technology and streaming. So here's the thing. I got into a talk earlier, and I might get more into this on my tech drives. The next one will be uploading tomorrow morning, by the way. I recorded it last week, but I just hadn't had a chance to upload it. But so here's the thing. It's not a good thing because this could cause the death of blockbuster movies. The reason I say that is because of this. You don't justify spending $200 million on a movie unless it's going to make 800 plus million back. Movie theaters only take about 30% of the opening 2 weeks box office. After that, it goes up to 50% usually in the 3rd week. But of course, if you've ever seen any movie and how they sell on box office, the majority of it is in the first 2 weeks. So if a movie would have made in their opening 2 weeks 200 million on that alone, the movie theaters are getting 66 or yeah 60. Why am I? So 200 million, right? So they would make 140 million out of that. So it really is a whole thing where you make more money even with how you would make on a streaming service. Now here's the thing about that. Streaming services typically make most of their money because of the shows they have rather than the movies they have. movies are shown to not give long-term growth to streaming services. Statistically, as of now, obviously any of this could change down the line, but they just don't. However, HBO Max is really kind of playing around with this, because if you have 17 movies, which is what Warner Brothers is releasing on HBO Max, in 1 year, well, then every single month you have a new movie coming out. So that might cause people not to cancel their service. So it's an interesting proposition, but the whole point is that this could actually lead to the death of movie theaters, which could in turn lead to the death of blockbuster movies. It's why Disney Plus hasn't, or Disney hasn't gone this route, as opposed to, you know, they're still putting movies on there like Cruella, all this kind of stuff, but these aren't, you know, Marvel Avengers. They aren't the big guns that they know can make $1 billion. Disney still wants to have those, and because Disney makes them often, they are all for that. Ideally, again, I think the best thing that could possibly come out of this is Disney buying AMC, Cinemark, one of those movie theater chains, or Amazon buying one of those theater chains to keep them alive, because those two companies have the revenue to be able to do that. If Disney hits their mark of reaching, I think it's 200 million subscribers by the end of 2023, I think it is. If they reach that, they will be making over $7 billion in profit because of their movie, because of the extent of their library. Whereas Netflix loses $3 billion currently, quarterly to annually, depending on how much spending they're doing. And the reason is because Disney doesn't have to pay any of the market share to licensing shows, which Netflix is losing all of those. They know that. They know they're losing everything, and it's a whole thing. I don't want to. I've already gone on it too long, but it's a very thing where you have to look at everything as a whole to see what it was, what's really at stake here. Because I'll tell you one thing, the music industry is almost dead for that reason, because of something coming along, Spotify, and disrupting it so much that it took most of the profit out of doing things the way they were done. So yeah, it's something I'll get more into during our Tech Drive videos. If you want to become a member, it costs $1 and you get all those videos a month where I go in depth for 20 plus minutes on that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I'll leave that for that, basically. Whoa, a whole bunch of questions just loaded. Everybody drink. Hey, is there anything you like about Apple? Because I was the same until I tried Apple. No loyalty to brand for me, really. Now that Samsung is getting rid of the Note, hashtag save the Note. Is there anything I like about Apple? Yeah, sure. I mean, again, I can say anything about Apple because I have one, right? Like I have an iPhone every year so that I can really see what am I missing? What is, you know, the standout thing? What is it that separates this that people love so much? And I have to be able to do that, or else then I'm just saying, oh, screw this company. You know, they don't have anything good. Like, it wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be right. So I don't know. That's just the way I am. I always like to see everything that a company has to offer before judging it. It's the way I am, and you know, all of life. I think you should do your research before putting your opinion out there and saying that, you know, everything should be like this. You know, do your research first is my always go-to thing, because I never want to be caught off guard, right? I don't know. Of course you can do this and those. And it's happened even recently with my the Xbox video that I did. Apparently, even though it said nowhere on their website, and I looked at all the fine print and everything like that, they didn't say anything about that it stops after 2 years. and gamers were telling me like, hey, this plan stops after 2 years. That's misleading and everything like that. And I said like, you're totally right. I was wrong on that. I didn't do as much research as I should have, and that's what I don't like to have happen as much. So, is there things I like about Apple in general? I think their ecosystem is really good. I do think that if you have everything Apple, it makes it very difficult to get out because you're just so locked into that ecosystem. And what makes it worse is that if your friends and family have the ecosystem, you're not leaving because it's more of a hassle to leave. And then they talk about you and then all this kind of stuff. It's just all these things. So their ecosystem is genius. That's the best part about it. In terms of their products, I do like some of them. I don't like, I don't like, and there's so many companies that have these, right? Monopolistic tendencies. And that is Apple likes to keep everything in-house, everything and done, and they're just not open. And I think that can serve them very well for a lot of things, but it also hinders innovation. It also hinders things they could do, and the things that other people could bring to the table. And that's where I do like Windows and Android more because they are more open to usability. So yeah, I think that has been, and I've told a lot of people, the reason why I don't like Apple is because of their marketing. Their marketing has been misleading since the early 90s, probably even before that. That's when I really started researching it. And it's just, it's very, Steve Jobs was a genius in marketing, but it was very underhanded tactics. It was very things that were very just not the best. So yeah. I don't. It's not that I don't like them for any reason. There is reasons behind it, but I still, solid screen, decent phone, great camera. Like I can. It's not that it kills me if I say something's good about it, because it's not. It's not that it's a bad phone. It's just my thing is always letting people know, like, hey, there are great alternatives for the same price. That if you're not locked into the ecosystem, you might like a lot more. So yeah. I switched from Samsung to Apple, love it. Yeah, and again, a lot of people switch back and forth too. Do you know if the A71 will get Android 11 security updates? Should be, or should I get a Xiaomi with guaranteed updates? I live in the Caribbean. Xiaomi has guaranteed updates because I've been loaned Xiaomi phones before and I did not get updates. They're better than some other Chinese companies, but I will not say that that's guaranteed. And I guess it depends on which country you live in terms of I don't know how different updates happen in different countries, to be honest, in certain parts of the Caribbean. But I mean yes, the A71 will get Android 11. It was on that same list to get it in Q1, so it should be getting it. But I don't know. You living in this part of the world versus this part of the world, how will that rollout happen? I'm afraid for all the smartwatches, but I want a smart scouter, damn it. Yes, I think we all want the scouter. Modular mods makes things Moto phones. Yeah, they were very popular with the Moto phones. I'm so conditioned to buying a new phone every other year. Plus, there will always be that new thing that you have to have. Absolutely. I'm so guilty of that I do it after 6 months. So, yeah. I still think the rolled expandable phones will be better than the foldable phones. I agree, actually. I do think that's better. I loved, out of all the concepts of bendable phones that Samsung brought to CES like 10 years ago, I think the best one ever was the one that was like, it was thick like a thick marker, basically. You clicked it, and it rolled out a screen. I thought that was like, oh my God, if I, and it was of course, it was like such a Samsung video where the guy was like showing off to this girl, and the girl was like, ooh, like, what's that, and there was another guy that was a geeky guy, that was a barista kind of guy, so, they were making fun of on Apple with that. But it was so much like, you can't deny that would be a great pickup. Like, as a guy that, I used to talk to girls and all that kind of stuff back in the day, like, I was just like, I mean, you walk in even with a foldable phone, just like, oh hey, how you doing? You know, just like it's such a flex that it's so hilarious that again, this was 10 years ago that they had that kind of concept. I think it was 10 years. It was something like I think 2011, 2012 when that CES happened. So a little bit less than 10 years, but still very, very distant past when they knew that future was coming. Great show as always. What is your favorite game on PS5? Right now, I'm in Miles Morales. I was actually still trying to 100% the Final Fantasy VII remake. So yeah, I'm doing Miles Morales now. By the time I'm done with that, I'll start on Cyberpunk. And yeah, that's my transition right now. I can't think of. I mean, there are some really interesting ones. Like I think that one. I think it's called Deathloop or something like that. Is a really interesting one too, where you're like, someone's after you and you're after someone else, and then but like, if it's a Groundhog Day, that if you game over, you effectively go back and then try to figure out what you did wrong. So I think that's a really cool concept in a game. But yeah, I haven't played much this past week. This past week, it's almost done. But I've been building this new studio that's slightly off video right here, and I think it will finally be ready by next weekend. It's not tall enough to be behind me, so and I will be in the videos basically straight shot, and we have a top rig overhead too. So it'll be a new concept that I have for this channel. I think it'll make it look a lot nicer and polished. So yeah, just almost there, almost there. Have you heard any of the rumors of the smaller exterior for the Fold 3, smaller potential interior as well? So yeah, I talked about that at the beginning of this video. It will not have a smaller interior, so that is not true. The rumor was finalized as it'll be 7.6 or bigger, meaning that it'll stay most likely at 7.6, but it could go up to 8 inch. So I don't know why it would get smaller on the inside, but the outside is going to be smaller, reportedly because of the S Pen. Why they would have the S Pen on the screen side, I don't know. It makes more sense to put on the outside, but maybe they're thinking of battery life and putting a bigger battery on the other side and then moving the S Pen to that side. Again, these are all possibilities that we could, but I really, really don't think that that's even close to being done. I think that that will be more true on the Z Fold Lite, which we also talked about, which will be coming out early in March 2021. That I could see having the smaller display, and it will not have an S Pen, but they'll see the reaction to that and then make changes from there on their Fold 3. Good work as usual, Ricky. Thank you. What would be your pick for of the year for the best phones and favorite tablets? Well, I'm not ready to discuss that yet because I do that in a video. I do the best tablets and best smartphones. Actually, I haven't done the best tablets, quite frankly, but best smartphones I definitely would do. Um, it's funny because for tablets, it really depends on what you need. Like, you have to put the iPad Pro there, and you have to put the Tab S7 Plus there. But I really think, like, you get the two other Samsungs, the Tab S5e and the Tab S6 Plus. I think, unfortunately, Huawei MediaPads aren't a good... they were, I think, a good alternative for a while, but because they've lost Android, the Google Play Store on Android, I think they're no longer in the running. Surface tablets, I don't like the Surface Go's. I think they're horrible devices that limit you so much, and for what you're paying, you should get more. Chromebooks, I think, are a better alternative, but you want to make sure they have an M3 processor. So it's a lot to tablets. And do you consider a Chromebook a tablet at all or not? Like the Lenovo Duet is a tablet Chromebook. So there's lots of things right there. I would never recommend the new Surface Pros. I would always recommend like a 2-year-old Surface Pro because you can get it for a lot cheaper. Like you can probably get like an i5 to i7 Surface Pro with the keyboard for like $600 if you go on an older model. So those are my thoughts on tablets, but for phones, I'll come up with a top 10 list and it will come out. especially because I'm getting some new graphics soon. So that'll be really cool to have on the channel, and it'll also be cool to show you guys that in a video. So yeah. Let's see. Sony produced a lot of good camera for budget flagship phones, but they aren't so impressive. And their smartphones doesn't have recognition to deserve the bottom. Why? Um, so a couple things. So Sony, yeah, has made a lot of different camera sensors, and it really is what you do with the image processors on those. So it's not just, it is the HDR processing. It's all of these different processings that we're learning that it's a lot more software based than the hardware can necessarily do. So that has a lot to do with it. I mean, that's why a lot of the Qualcomm processors, the 888, is going to have a lot of image computational photography processing built into it. So that's going to give us better images with all of the flagships for next year that have that processor. So that does have a lot to do with it, is software going along with the image processor and along with the sensor as well. In terms of their smartphones don't get the recognition, they're not that big in the US. So they do sell very well in Japan, where they're based. I think they still sell more than any other device over there in Japan itself. But yeah, so that's the main thing that I will say that happens. Welcome to Mini Member. Hey, welcome to Mini Member, Jack. Mike Jack, I really appreciate you becoming a member. So yeah, but that's why I think Sony missed the boat. I think Sony could have done amazing things with the niche market with PlayStation and their phones that they just never did. They kind of gave up on it too easily. And like what they should do is if you buy a Sony smartphone, you get PlayStation Now for a year for free. Like get PlayStation Now for free that normally cost you $60. Heck, maybe even put PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now for free for a year. That's $120 savings on a $900 smartphone. Suddenly, Sony is very interesting for gamers. So I think they should have leveraged that a lot more than they ever did. They came out with like 2 bad PSP game phones, and that was it. They didn't, PlayStation, since PS3, you can plug in the PS3 remote directly into any Android, and it would work. It would work for your games. So that was something that I showed when I first was starting off doing YouTube videos in 2012 and 2013, just by showing those, like, hey, you can connect this, and that was like a trick that no one knew. But it was something that Androids had forever, and that PlayStation worked so well with, that why didn't they do more with it? They could have. I'd rather get rid of the S series and keep the note and fold lines. The S series does sell more, but I think the best enthusiast would agree with you and keep the note series. Will Samsung Messenger support RCS soon? It does on certain manufacturers, and it does on certain carriers, actually. So, like, when I text people that have the newer Samsung phones on T-Mobile, it's RCS. I can see when they receive the message. It sends at a better quality, all that stuff. But that's not everyone. Older phones don't have it. It's a mess. I want FaceTime on Android. I wish Apple would allow it. Apple would never allow it. I'm not even lying when I say this. 50% of Apple users would leave. If you got FaceTime and iMessage on Android, at least 50% of people would leave. I'm not even exaggerating on that. Just because those are the 2 things that keep so many people on that platform. Those 2 things. It's what kept people on BlackBerry. BlackBerry Messenger, as soon as they allowed it on Android and iOS, that was the death of it. That was the death of BlackBerry. And they did bring it over, if you didn't know. Bring back the Polaroid cameras. I mean, Polaroid has new cameras every year. Any reliable places to get an iPhone 11 since they don't make them anymore, but they still make the 11? Shake my head. No, I mean, not any places that come to mind. I mean, you can always get them online and stuff like that, but yeah, you have to be kind of careful with how you do it. What do you think about the iPhone 13? I think it's not out yet, and we don't have any rumors on it so far. So yeah. More bad news from Google Photos. They're deleting photos from your account starting June 1st if you go over your limit and or inactivity on your account. Yeah, basically what Google's doing is clearing some of their server space because they have a lot of photos since people have been using this service for many, many years. Um, it is interesting that there if you go over your limit, but remember, any photos from before June 1st will not count towards your limit. They made that very clear. So every photo you take before June 1st will not count towards your storage. Only the things you take after June 1st will count towards your storage. What's your opinion on PC Tower i5 or AMD equivalent? Looking for a good speedy PC for gaming, Fortnite. Um, I mean, I don't have any off the top of my head, man. We really didn't see that many desktops for gaming. You can look back at the ones we had for Black Friday and Cyber Monday videos, both of those videos, and for Best Buy and for Amazon. But I really don't think there was that many towers. Like I remember there was one all-in-one, which is the monitor built in, but it's not for gaming. But I think we literally had one or two out of all three of those videos. So there wasn't that many towers on sale. The main thing to note is just get a dedicated graphics card, and yeah, get i5 or a Ryzen 5 is what you're looking for in terms of processing power, and you want a graphics card. Graphics cards are more important than the processor necessarily in that sense. Should I wait for the S21 Ultra or see if there will be another new Note? I have the Note 10 Plus. I mean, that's kind of hard to tell. So yeah, I would wait for the S21 Ultra to see if that has an S Pen. If that has an S Pen, especially if it's built in, then that's a whole nother thing, right? But yeah, it's really something that if they do it correctly, it might be great, but I just still rather have a Note. Sorry if you answered. I was trying to pay attention, but haven't. May haven't. Will the Note 10 and Note 10 Plus get 3.0? May have missed it. Yes, it will get UI 3.1. I don't believe they were on the first batch. They're on the second batch, which is in Q2 of 2021. So it will be between March and May is when they're expected. Do you know how much Best Buy charges for repair diagnostics? I do not off the top of my head. No, I don't. Virtual CES next month? Yeah, I'm going to see. I've already gotten some invitations for it. I need to register for it. I haven't done that yet, so I'll probably do that after this video, actually. But yeah, CES next month. We'll see how it'll go. I've gotten, like I said, some invites already from different companies. So I think I'm going to take the 3 days off work. I won't take the full week off like I usually do. Just take the first 3 days off, see what coverage there is, report whatever I can. And I think you're just going to see a lot of little videos from me, like maybe 3-minute videos, just kind of talking about stuff that I learned in these private sessions that I'm going to be a part of and kind of going from there. I just hope they're going to give us photos or B-roll or something because, we want to show you stuff instead of just saying things, since we're not going to have hands-on. Hey, thank you so much, Matthew. Thanks for always being so awesome and answering all the questions. Thank you very much, Matthew, for your Super Chat donation. I really greatly appreciate it. I hate how the new SpiderMan game looks out of the suit is normal. Wait, out of suit is normal, but in suit it looks kind of like an anorexic stick figure. Yeah, well, especially I don't know if you've tried the putting him in the. I pre-ordered it, so I got the movie version, and there it's like a glitch kind of thing when he swings. So that's really kind of like it looks. If you saw the movie Into the Spider-Verse, the skin looks like that, but it also glitches like that. So it's a really very unique thing for sure. What do you think about the upcoming Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather fight? That's not really happening, is it? Look, because you knock a basketball player out doesn't mean you can actually hang with. Oh my god! I mean, I guess they're doing it for a payday, because why not? I had heard something about like Floyd Mayweather's going to even have a more ridiculous fight than when he fought the Big Show at WrestleMania, but I didn't know what it was. So yeah. Um, Howdy Ricky. So how do you think Sammy went back to the Buds Pro, going back to in-ear? Samsung's always that company, and again, I love them, but they're always that company that tries to do multiple things and see what people like best. The Galaxy Buds Live, I think, really sold well, to be quite honest. I haven't heard anyone that owns them say anything bad about them, and that goes for me too. I love these. I love these buds. But and not only me, I gave these to my wife, and she had the original Galaxy Buds, I think. And I ended up giving her the new ones of these, and she loves them too. So it's definitely a big upgrade from what there used to be. But they're like, oh well, maybe people want in-ear too, so let's try that, and that's basically what they're doing, unfortunately. When will tablets get UI 3.0? The Tab S7s will probably get it in Q2 of 2021, and then following through there. I could imagine the Tab S6 Lite and Tab S5e getting it that early as well, just because they're very good sellers. Basically, Samsung goes towards the top sellers first. That's why the S20 got it first, because the S20 series is going to be the top seller compared to the Note or the Folds. That's why they got it first. When I use Samsung Internet or Google on my Note 20 Ultra, it takes time to load pages. I'm not sure why. Chrome, I can tell you, has like a data saver, so it actually will use less data and load pages quicker. So you might want to take a look at that one. I'm assuming Samsung Internet has the same thing like that, but I just have never used Samsung Internet. Ricky, I'm looking at a 48-inch LG CX OLED. Do they make the best OLED? Does LG make the best OLED? Yes. Yes, they do. I would just say, I mean, for the size to price ratio, I don't know how much you're spending on that, because OLEDs are very expensive, and for a 48-inch, I feel like that's very small for today's standards. I wouldn't get lower than a 55-inch. Your space might be perfect for a 48-inch, and that's why you're deciding to go with it. But yeah, like for me, I swear I'm looking at my 65-inch every couple weeks, and I'm like, man, I really need a 75-inch. But I think it's just once you have something, I think you want to get to the next step. When I had a 55-inch, I really wanted a 65-inch. When I first got my 65-inch, it was the biggest thing ever in my old home. And then when I mounted the 65-inch, I'm like, I feel like this could be bigger. So yeah, it is what it is, kind of thing. But yeah. 100 okay, so it's for the kitchen, which makes sense for the size then. Living room would be 75-inch, got it. Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing I would say. You're saying it's for the kitchen. Kitchen lets in lots of light. I would just recommend do a price comparison to QLED TVs. The reason why I say that is because QLEDs are actually brighter than OLEDs. OLEDs do blacks better than QLED does. So they're going to have truer darks and blacks colors better. However, a QLED display will do better brighter colors, and it's a brighter screen, which will help in your nits. Nits are brightness. It's how it measures it. So I would check on that, because if you're getting it for your kitchen, I feel like if you have a lot of natural light in there, you might want to get a QLED. That would be my opinion. But again, just something you should price compare it to, because you can definitely get a QLED probably for that price. around that same range. So just something I would recommend. Will the S10 get QLED around the spring? Yes, the S10 will probably get it around the same time. The Note 10 and the S10 should get it around the same time in Q2. LOL, I want the wall TV. Yeah. So if you haven't checked out, I think it was either Samsung or Samsung USA's YouTube page. Someone bought the wall TV. So someone bought the wall TV, very rich guy, and they literally made it perfectly for the entire wall he had between two rooms. Basically, there's two doorways, and he had that wall in the middle filled with the wall TV. It looks absolutely amazing, and he was like, "Oh yes, well, it's great, all this kind of stuff and everything." So, yeah, it's just one thing that I will say it's absolutely amazing. But yeah, if you want to check out that, you will get envious, you will all that kind of stuff, or at least I did. But yeah, I actually want to know how you connect to the wall TV. Like, I saw a stand at the bottom, which was the sound bar, but I'm guessing that that's probably how the TV connects to it, and that's how you do all the inputs. What does 5GE mean? It means that AT&T was trying to trick their customers. That's what it means. 5GE is the same thing as LTE-A or LTE Advanced. And basically LG, or sorry, LG, not LG, LG had nothing to do with it. AT&T basically tried to trick their customers. They defended themselves in the lawsuit by saying, no one thinks 5GE is actually 5G. That's what their lawyers said. Okay? And basically they did all this kind of stuff, and what ended up happening was that they got away with it. Sprint was suing them. They settled out of court with them because they said, you are harming 5G by mislabeling this as 5GE, which is basically like entry level 5G, which it's not. It's not 5. It has nothing to do with 5G. But yeah, so there's this annoying thing that I still think AT&T should be sued for. I still truly believe AT&T should be sued for. But yeah, so basically it's just LTE, and it's just a 5G label on it. And AT&T's defense is no one thinks that it's actually 5G. That's what it is. It's a marketing gimmick. Samsung 50-inch QLED is on sale for $899. Have the TV on 12 hours plus. If you're going to have the TV on for 12 hours plus, then I would really recommend a QLED, because obviously the issue with OLED displays is they have burn-in. So if you're going to have the TV on for 12 hours plus, if you have any channel that has like the news network that has like a clicker at the bottom or something along those lines, that will burn onto your TV within 6 months, basically, if you're leaving it on for that long every day. So yeah, I would probably go the other way. Have you figured out how to get YouTube on full screen onto the Z Fold 2? No. I mean, I wouldn't want it full screen, if that makes any sense. Can I watch myself? Should I watch myself? Is that kind of like, Inception right there? I'm using my 5G, so it's not going to be that. Yeah, no, you can only have it like this. And I mean, that's still pretty big. That's a 7-inch display across. I've measured it. So from this corner to this corner, that's a 7-inch display. So yeah, I think it's good enough. Little inception there. Rigsbyception. Where is the best place to buy a refurbished laptop? I would say Best Buy, and Dell Outlet. Dell has some amazing ones that are outlet computers that they do very well, and those are sold. If you search Dell Outlet, that will have all of their refurbished products. And then you also just don't buy. I don't like buying their scratch and marked up ones or whatever, because they do sell those at Dell Outlet as well. But they do. Best Buy, I would say, is one of the best ones to go with. Thank you for answering my questions, Ricky. Unfortunately, I'm with AT&T. Have a great night. I completely understand. It's nothing bad. Again, if I were AT&T, I would have sued them. I would honestly have sued them. I would see if there's any kind of joint lawsuit that you could join. Like, I would, at least that would be me, because I think what they did was wrong. All right, guys, before we wrap up, I do want to share one cool thing that I thought was kind of cool. I worked on this weekend, just because I wanted to make some new clothes. So, if you haven't checked out before, I have a YouTube store that is right here in the description, and basically I made some new logos and new kind of styles, and we even have new stuff like masks now and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, so it's really cool stuff. So I did some new logos based on like Marvel Studios, so that kind of stuff, and all different kinds of styles. Did an Avengers one, did a Google kind of one right here. This is the Avengers kind of style text, YouTube tech guy. Again, very simple ones. This one's pretty cool. It's the Mandalorian kind of text, and you can actually see the Mandalorian in the O. So that's kind of cool for a YouTube tech guy. And then also this one, which was a Samsung logo kind of style. So have that there as well. So if you want to check out any of those, like, they are available in the links in the description. I do sell hoodies, sweaters with zippers. I actually bought 2 of them myself that I should get before the holidays. So yeah, but yeah, we have masks. We have this is the hoodie zipper one right here. So again, just very simplistic. I kind of went all out when I did the Tech Club ones and the Rigsby 116 and all that kind of stuff. These are more simplified. But yeah, we have a whole store that you can check out in the link in the description. So yeah, if you wanted to check out some of those, got lots of different wear you can get. All right, guys, but we will be calling that a show because, yes, Quiet Storm remind me it is time for me to go before I get in trouble. All right, guys, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let me know if the outro has audio again. I did check on it last week. But yeah, thank you guys always so much for watching. This has been RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy.